Hello guys, my name is Arpit Raghav and today we'll be discussing topic B of Kritik assignment 2. First of all, I would ask you to read the question so that you understand my explanation properly. I would be using the concepts of equilibrium, price flooring and price ceiling to make you understand the question clearly. So we all know for a buyer and seller to be happy, an equilibrium has to be achieved. An equilibrium is when the supply and demand of the product meets each other. This is when both the buyers and sellers would be happy, right? But in the case of price flooring, where a minimum price is set on the product to be sold, and for it to be binding, it is usually above the market price, right? It would lead to a loss in demand. Since it would lead to a loss in demand, there would be a surplus of supply and there is no equilibrium, so the buyers and the sellers both would be unhappy because there would be too much product which no one wants to buy, right? We can all imagine that situation. In the case of price ceiling, it's the complete opposite. In the case of price ceiling, a maximum amount is set, which is usually below the market price for it to be binding. In this case, there would be an influx in demand. People would want to buy product for cheap, right? But this would lead to a shortage of supply. The sellers won't be happy to sell the products. They would rather stop selling their products, right? So this would lead to a loss for them, and hence, since there is no equilibrium, both the sellers and buyers would be unhappy. As we see, after evaluating both the situations in case of price flooring and price ceiling, equilibrium is not reached, and in both the cases, the buyers and sellers are unhappy. So for me to choose one would be really hard, and I would say that there is not relevant information given for me to choose one. Now to explain you the situation properly, I can give you for how does a price flooring works properly or a price ceiling works properly in the government. You choose the example of rental products, rental houses, right? So usually if a property is supposed to be rented, the government may set a price ceiling for the house property because it's an appreciating asset. In the future they will anyways benefit out of it. But in the case of ancient civilization, that does not happen. For example, if a property's market price is to be sold at around $700 and its price ceiling is set at $500, usually there will be an influx in an influx in demand, and people would want to rent that house, and in the future people would benefit out of it. But in the case of ancient civilizations, that was not happening. It won't benefit even if it's an elastic and inelastic product. Thank you.